Welcome to the Net Report podcast. My name is Jacob. This is going to be our first episode of our sports analysis and discussion podcast. Just a little bit about me as one of the main hosts here. I am mainly a Boston sports fan, Bruins, Patriots, Red Sox, Celtics. I also dabble in some college football as well. Go Seminoles. Just a little bit about me, though, as far as how I got into sports. I've kind of always been into it just from a young age, but it really started when I used to go to some spring training games when I was younger here in Florida. The Red Sox was always the closest team to where I live, so I got to go to a lot of those games. And seeing Big Papi David Ortiz when I was younger kind of brought me into the sport. And from there, I kind of just had a bunch of icons when I was younger to really look up to. Um, Obviously, Tom Brady was out here as well, and so that was always just really cool to flex about. But I'll let the other boys talk about some of their experiences as well, and we'll get this started.
Yes, my name is Chris. I'm an aspiring journalism student, hoping to get into sports reporting and media at UCF. Um, I got into sports at a young age, obviously, as well, like Jacob. My earliest memories are honestly, I remember my dad buying me NBA Live 2005 for the GameCube, Madden '06 for the GameCube, and just playing those games early in my life, learning the teams, rosters. Obviously, became a Magic fan. It being the local team. Grew up watching them. Remember earliest memories with them are getting swept by the Pistons early in the first round. That was always fun. But then I also got to watch the Dwight team go to the finals. Been to numerous games in person, so that was always fun. I grew up an Eagles fan because my dad is a he was born in Allentown, Pennsylvania, so of course it's an Eagles household. We all grew up Eagles fans. Uh, Obviously grew up watching Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick, Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy, all those players. And, you know, probably best sports memory, of course, is going to always be that 2018 Super Bowl when they finally pulled through. I'm also a Tampa Bay Rays fan. Recently got into baseball, still learning a lot about the sport. But chose to root for the hometown team being in Florida. So, yeah, that's kind of how I got into sports, and those are my sports teams.
My name is Tarique. I am a Giants, Yankees, uh, Lakers, Kraken, and for college football would be Notre Dame. Got into sports ever since I could remember. I've been playing it ever since I could remember, from t-ball to flag football, and all the way through high school and now in college playing D3 lacrosse. Um, Ever since I was younger, I was a Yankees and Giants fan. Grew up in New York. Remember always going to random Yankees games, old Yankee Stadium before they made the new one, and seeing people like Derek Jeter, Aaron Rodriguez, Ichiro Suzuki when he was on the team. Just seeing them and falling in love with the sport and playing that all the way until high school. Then for football, never really went to a game, but I watched all the way back when Eli was on the team, Justin Tuck, Jason Pierre-Paul, watched all them playing growing up. Finally went to a game my 21st birthday, and it was just not a, it was a fun for the experience. It was just not a good game. We got blown out by the Dolphins when we had Mike Glennon, and it looked like the Giants were just going downhill from there. And then recently got uh, and into the NBA and NHL and started watching the Lakers because my roommate suggested that's who I should start to follow. So that's who I did start following, and I kind of did start following them because there was a bunch of people that I already knew on the team, especially my favorite player, Carmelo Anthony, was on the team at the time. And then for NHL, I started watching the Kraken because as soon as I started watching NHL, they came out with a new team. So that was the team I officially went with because I didn't want to feel like a bandwagon. So I instantly just joined them. And for uh, college basketball, basically ever since middle school, me and one of my old teammates decided to start watching uh, Notre Dame together, and that's where we just went off from there.
Basketball or football?
Football.
I'm about to say. um, Tarique, or Chris, rather, if it makes you feel better, my earliest Celtics memory is watching us lose to the Magic in the playoffs that one year. Dwight Howard year.
Wow, I'm actually surprised about that, but yeah, yeah, early memories. I mean, teams don't always get over the hump, so
Specifically the Magic.
yeah, I'll take the shots because they haven't been over the hump in years, but I have those Dwight memories to hold on to.
Yeah, no, he does think Kelly Oubre is cute.
Oh my goodness.
Hey man, it's respectable. So
All right.
let's dive right into it. Just week to week, we're going to be going over some sports analysis, kind of discussions, and then we'll kind of see where that leads us. The obvious news this week, obviously, is the uh, conference championship games. So I guess we'll open up discussion and start there. Um, I guess which game did you guys kind of want to start with?
Cincinnati Bengals. What happened? How'd you lose to the Kansas City Chiefs? No, but that game was something.
I think we should let Jacob start. I know he has very strong feelings about this one.
The Bengals lost, but it was not entirely their fault. The refereeing was, as some might say, god awful. Most people are going to look at to the ending play of Osai, the out of bounds unnecessary roughness hit, as the game deciding factor, but negatory. On multiple plays, specifically those fourth, fifth, and sixth down plays, the Chiefs somehow managed to get on one drive, and just many other poor calls that seem to all go the Chiefs' way. Which, I mean, that happens during championship runs. Sometimes it's called luck, and teams do get the benefit of the doubt. It just seemed very obvious, and at the NFL's biggest stage, it just really shouldn't be happening. It's kind of unacceptable and just sad to look at, to be honest with you. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna fully blame the NFL refereeing for what happened to the Bengals. Some of it can be placed on them and some of their play calls and just not being able to break that offensive line of the Chiefs. But refereeing, man, it's got to be fixed. Like, implement the sky judge. There's got to be some reprimations made and like fines towards some of these referees for just purely awful, like just doing their job terribly. Like, just frankly, I don't know. It's very frustrating to watch a championship. In recent memory, I don't recall seeing a championship weekend refereed so poorly.
Yeah, I think we all can agree the refs had a big impact on the game, unfortunately, in a negative way. Um, like you said, I don't think it's the only reason the Bengals lost as well. I mean, obviously, Burrow had the 2 turnovers. One wasn't really his fault, but still, that shot the Bengals in the foot. The offense wasn't able to capitalize on that last drive, and they had the ball with, I think it was 3 minutes left, driving down the field. So it's unfortunate. They were in position to win, but they of course didn't. And when you have those opportunities on the biggest stage, you have to take them, even if things aren't going your way. And I can't help but feel for Osai because he's gonna get the blame, but he's not the sole reason they lost. He shouldn't be labeled as that. It's a hustle play. It's unfortunate he got. I mean, obviously it was an unnecessary roughness call, but those things happened, and you can't vilify the guy for one play.
No, I mean, it's sports. Like, people make boneheaded decisions. In all fairness, like, I can't really say anything different. Like, these guys are making reactions, decisions with like milliseconds of time to actually think about these things. So it's not like they have a ton of time to think. They're kind of just, it's the biggest stage that they may ever play on, and like they're trying to capitalize on this particular stage. Like, the ultimate goal is to make it and win the Super Bowl. So it's like, oh shit, I have an opportunity to take this guy out of bounds, keep them out of field goal range. It's like, I get where he's coming from. It's just unfortunate that the timing of it all, to be honest.
Hmm.
But yeah, at the end of the day, you can't do that. Like, you got to have the mental awareness to not do that. But I mean, it happens, unfortunately.
And I will give credits to the Chiefs too. Obviously Mahomes had no turnover. He's playing on a gimpy ankle. You know, they did what they had to win that game, even if some calls went their way. Defense stepped up on the last drive, and you can't take that away from them.
No, you can't, and especially like how we talked about, like not here, but before about outside, you can't really blame certain players because blaming certain players doesn't make really sense to do that because he did one bad call and everyone started blaming him, especially even on his own team was blaming him. But the man was giving
That was
Mahomes the
disgusting to
pressure.
see. That was really
Yeah,
disgusting to see in that locker room.
because the thing is, you saw the video. There was two videos. There was a video of him crying on the sideline because he knew he messed up, but he had such a good game that some of his teammates were walking up to him. But when he was walking into the locker room and getting yelled at like that after doing something,
I can't
that
think
was
of the
just
player's
upsetting.
name now, but it wasn't.
Was
It
was
was
it Jermaine
linebacker.
Pratt? Was it
Yeah,
Yes,
Jermaine Pratt?
yes.
Hmm.
that was really disgusting to see. I'm gonna be very honest. Like, come on,
Like
because
I
it.
get that your emotions lead you into certain things, but like, damn, the man is like going through it, and there's no need to push a teammate while he's already down.
No,
Hmm.
on the flip side, it was really beautiful to see BJ Hill in the locker room, kind of like standing up with him, like answering all those questions with the media and like having his back. It's like that's some of the good stuff to see in sports is like kind of just seeing that brotherhood. It is unfortunate to see the other side with Pratt kind of like blaming him, and I'm like, come on, bro. It's like that.
Like,
It's never one play. Let's be very honest and just very clear with each other. It's never one play why a team loses a football game. It's never that.
yeah, you
You lose it.
technically have a whole hour of football,
You can't
15
lose a
minutes
football
each
game
quarter.
on one play. I'm sorry. It's like it's
Like, yes, one play could change a lot in a game, but
you don't lose it
it's
because
you
of
have
that.
60 minutes of football. The point is that if you didn't step up earlier in the game and something happens in the end of the game, it's like, what did you do for the rest of the game that got you that situation where one thing really ended the game?
Yeah, so that was just really gross to see, and I'm not particularly a fan of how that was handled from a team standpoint. It's like, come on, you got to like come together as a team when situations like that
Um,
happen.
yeah, most definitely, and like we're talking a lot about the Bengals, but we do have to also give Patty Mahomes his fucking credit where credit is really due.
I mean, yeah,
Coming
he
out
played a
after
fine
that,
game. It wasn't anything overly spectacular, but I mean, it was he played a game. Like he did good. That he won the game, and when they needed him
he
to
did what
make,
he had to do.
yeah, and then I think more importantly, um, that defensive line just absolutely feasted on the Bengals.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely feasted. Like Chris Jones, we all know, excellent player. Hasn't usually shown up in the playoffs before, but holy crap, did he have his best playoff game of his career? Dude was absolutely murdering the offensive line of the Bengals. And what I wanted to say and I had forgotten is the reason the Bengals lost this game was because of that offensive line. I credited them last week when we were talking privately about how well they did with the backups. And then this week, for whatever reason, they got healthier. I think they had two of their starters come back this week, I want to say, and somehow they got worse. Um,
Yeah,
like they were just dominated from the line of scrimmage from start to finish. Like it was embarrassing.
And
most
that's what Chris
definitely.
Jones will do to you.
Oh
D
no,
line with
he's a
Chris
game
Jones
wrecker.
and
Absolutely,
game
he's a
wreck.
game wrecker.
The interior of that O line didn't have a solution.
No, not once. I don't know who you want to blame that on, whether it's just coaching, but it seems to be like a consistent thing with this Bengals offensive line where they just can't seem to get it figured out and protect Joe Burrow on a consistent basis. That might be unfair to say just because like one game, but it just seems like for every like one or two good games they have another two bad game. It's like I never see consistency from this offensive unit as far as protection on Joe Burrow. They go out and get all this money. They spend all this money. They trade for Lael Collins, and it's like, is it working? I have to look at, it, but I feel like he wasn't any more really protected this year than he was in previous years. I mean, especially when it came down to the biggest moment. Like, look what happened. So
Yeah, and that's unfortunately been a theme with them. Something they'll have to shore up in the off season for sure.
like that would be the number one thing I would point to as far as why this team lost. It would have to probably be the offensive line play unit. Um, just that can't happen. Like that's how you lose championships is bad offensive lines. So, I mean, credit to the Chiefs. They did what they had to do. They kind of narrowly escaped with the win, but a win's still a win. Can't really knock them down for kind of getting a cheap win when it came down to them getting in field goal range with the penalty, but everyone makes it for a reason. So, now we just got to see what they do going forward.
Well,
With that, let's head into the Eagles game. Eagles defeat 49ers 31-7. What did y'all see in that game? I mean, obviously it was an unfortunate turn of events for the
what I
49ers.
saw was a very, very dominant Eagles defense. Even without with the whole QB situation for the 49ers, Eagles defense shows where they could step up and be what they have to be. That interior line is something to be scared of for any NFL team.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly, with Brock Purdy going out with the UCL tear or whatever he had, it's just nothing good for the 49ers leading into the off season. But that's we'll talk about their off season in a little bit. This game was most definitely a dominant Eagles defense game, and the offense stepped up where they needed to step up to score their points.
I feel like we were robbed of a really great game and just robbed of this 49ers team going to the Super Bowl. I genuinely feel bad for their San Francisco fans because, like, you had such a great run. You lose Trey Lance in what, week two, right?
Yes.
You lose Trey
Yes,
Lance in week two. Then you have Jimmy Garoppolo come back and, like, look, he wasn't setting the world on fire, but he was serviceable. It looked like they were still going to be good playoff contenders. Then he goes down. Then your third round pick, or your third QB depth chart guy, last pick in the draft
Mr.
comes in, and
Irrelevant.
they win what, 7 or 8 straight games?
7 regular season games and then
Like that's
a
incredible.
few.
Absolutely incredible. And just I feel like we are robbed of that really cool story going forward. But they were my pick to win it all, in all honesty. So I was really, really like hedging my bets on them. And I think that if Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt, they have a real chance to go all the way. But we'll never know because he's hurt, and that's life, unfortunately. So the Eagles did what they
And
had to do when like they didn't let up. Even when the players got injured, they didn't let up, and they just kept on running it down their throats. To be honest with you, so I mean, credit to the Eagles where it's due. That defensive unit is disgustingly scary. I would be absolutely horrified to have to go up against it any day of the week. And with all this confidence they have going into the Super Bowl, it's going to be tough to beat them because you look at them like the swagger that they have right now. I, I'm reminded so weirdly of that other Super Bowl run. Like last time it was, oh, we're the underdogs, blah blah blah. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's true this time, but they still have this really weird swagger about them. It's like they're very confident about themselves and like just very sure, and they're playing as one unit. Like there's no real weakness on that team, like that I can point to and be like, yeah, this concerns me. It's like they feel like a very complete team.
Most
yeah,
definitely. They've been playing that way all year. As Tarique mentioned, their D line was ruthless. I want to give a shout out to Hassan Reddick. That guy has been a game breaker the last 2 playoff games, and I expect it to continue in the Super Bowl. If you're looking for a nice betting favorite, I would say bet Super Bowl MVP Hassan Reddick. I know they don't give it to defensive players a lot of years, but I haven't looked up the odds on that. If I could bet, I would be looking towards that one. But um, obviously, the Seagull team loves to put up points in bunches. They get ahead. They get it once they get ahead. It's just very hard to come back against them. And even in a game where they weren't playing particularly great on offense, against a really great San Francisco defense, they were still able to, of course, put up 31 points. Control time of possession, that had more to do with obviously San Francisco not being able to, keep the ball due to obviously not really having a consistent QB. But they this team like Jacob said, no real weakness. They're gonna be tough to beat in the Super Bowl, so it's gonna be a very entertaining matchup, I think.
Yeah. And speaking of the Super Bowl, I guess after giving credit where credit's due, let's get into. Well, first let's get into the history that's about to go into the Super Bowl, and then let's get into what our picks are going to be. Is that fine?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So history going to the Super Bowl. Both the Kelsey brothers, first brother duo to go against each other in the Super Bowl. That's a wild one. Thought that could have happened a long time ago, but I guess it hasn't.
Two of my favorite
Uh,
players too. Just awesome to see.
yeah. Um, First ever two black quarterbacks starting in the Super Bowl, going against each other.
Hmm.
That's that's big. That's real big, especially with knowing that there was only three black quarterbacks to win before, and if Jalen Hurts wins, he'll join that list and be the fourth guy. But if Mahomes wins, he'll be the first ever two-time black quarterback to win the Super Bowl. And if he wins the MVP, he'll be the first ever two-time Super Bowl MVP.
I mean, not even just first black quarterback to do it 2 times. There aren't many quarterbacks in general who have done it 2 times.
Hmm.
That is also true. Like some names that come up to my mind as saying quarterbacks that have done it two times and become the MVP. Tom Brady, Eli Manning. It's just,
Peyton did
it's
it,
a
but it's
big.
not a very
Peyton
long
did it.
list.
It's not. Was Payne Super Bowl MVP both times? I thought Von Miller had it both
No,
times.
not MVP both times. I'm sorry. I was just naming people who got it 2 times. No, he was not
Oh yeah,
MVP.
got it two times.
I don't even know if he was MVP in his first game. In all honesty, I couldn't for sure say that. I'm not entirely
Yeah, I
sure. I
don't
mean,
know.
he probably was, but I don't know for sure.
No, but honestly, like, there's not many black quarterbacks to really make it. Like, there was only like five or six that have made it and lost. Steve McNair, Colin Kaepernick, Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, and of course Patrick Mahomes has made it and lost. But that's even if you lose, that's still a big thing as a black quarterback that you made it and started in the
This is
Super
his
Bowl.
third
You still go
one.
down in history. Yeah, this is Mahomes' third one, but this is Jalen Hurts' first one.
Yeah,
Especially after we talked about before, him being out of that Alabama locker room of QBs, being the first one to make it.
yeah. It's genuinely crazy disrespect that he got in this league, and just to be very transparent, I mean, Chris is an Eagles fan. I know he didn't like the pick when it first happened. I
Oh
mean,
no, most definitely
nobody
not.
was. Let's be
That was
very honest. Nobody was.
that
To
wasn't
me,
a
it
sign
basically
of
reminds me of
maturity.
when J.J. Watt was picked by the Texans. Nobody liked it until he started playing.
Sure,
When J.J. Well, yeah, when J.J. was picked by the Texans, Texans fans booed him. Nobody wanted him.
I
And then he
believe you.
started playing. Look how it went.
Yes, sir. And that was never a knock against Hertz too. Didn't really know him as a player. It was the whole we have Wentz. We thought he was the future. Obviously, Howie Roseman saw into the future or something. Knew, you know,
Knew more than you did.
maybe more
Yeah.
than us we did apparently, and it's brought them to a Super Bowl now. And I think just seeing them both in the Super Bowl, Mahomes and Hurts, just goes to show how far the game has evolved. There was once a time where, you would see these quarterbacks who'd get out the pocket, typically black quarterbacks, and they'd talk down about them. They'd always say, well, you're never gonna win a Super Bowl with players like that. You have to have a pocket passer, and that's not the case anymore. You see
That's
guys
still a
doing it
recent
with their
discussion.
legs.
Even in so much as
Yeah.
last year, it was still people saying, "Oh,
Hmm.
well, Lamar could only really be a running back or a receiver. Like we don't see him as an
Hmm.
actual quarterback threat like that." Even he won a Super Bowl, or no, I'm sorry, an MVP, and people were still saying that about him. Like he's
Hmm.
still getting
Yeah.
doubters. Um, I'm not really sure where the difference is. Like people never really gave Mahomes that kind of disrespect. Um, I don't really want to get into it, but it's a weird dichotomy as to why he
Hmm.
never did, but a lot of these other black quarterbacks have. Like Jalen Hurts got that disrespect. Lamar Jackson got that disrespect. From my knowledge, Michael Vick and Donovan McNabb both got that disrespect coming into the league.
Yep.
Um, so it's a very weird dichotomy as to why Mahomes is kind of like considered the golden child, but I'm not going to argue with it. Like I'm glad he's having this success. I will say, I mean, we've talked about before. I don't like the comparisons and like the presumption that he's just going to win as many Super Bowls as Tom Brady because he's a talented quarterback. Talent doesn't necessarily equate to success. Unfortunately, in the
Yeah.
NFL, it's not easy to win a Super Bowl. It is not. It is
One of
extremely,
the hardest
extremely
championships to
difficult.
get.
Yes, it's not an NBA championship. It is a very difficult thing to win. You can be as successful and as talented as you want to be, but there are 53 guys in that team, and every single guy has to play their heart out every week.
Yeah. And bef- before we get into our picks, let's finish out this. Kansas City and Eagles, both overall record, including playoffs, 16-3. Both highest scoring teams in the NFL with 546 points each. The winner of this game gets to be the highest scoring team overall this year. That's another wild thing. Then going into Arizona, Arizona only has one win at home. Both the Eagles and the Chiefs have a win in Arizona. Whoever wins this game has more wins in Arizona than the Cardinals do.
Should be
That's a
illegal.
that's a hilarious stat. That's
That's
that's quite a stat.
That's real.
I
It's real.
like looking at that. Yeah, it is real. Looking at that, I'm like, what? And then of course there's the hit.
Cardinals, what happened?
And then, of course, going into this game, everybody is talking about Andy Reid's first game was with the Eagles in Arizona, but the Eagles lost in Arizona with Andy Reid. So who knows? Maybe Andy Reid gets his payback. Maybe the Eagles get their payback. But these are two different teams now going into this, and let's get into our picks and see what happens.
We'll let
I'll
the
go
Eagles.
first.
No. Let's let the Eagles fan
No?
goes first and surprise the
Yeah.
world.
All right.
Drum roll,
So,
please.
believe it or not, crazy turn of events. I do have the Eagles winning, but
Oh my lord!
Oh my lordy lord!
I have some legitimate reasons as to why I think this, though.
Yeah, we know you do. You're an Eagles fan. It's okay, Chris. You don't need to hide your bias. Like, we all love you, even if you're biased.
All right. So the Eagles, they have the best pass defense in the league. The Chiefs have the best passing attack in the league. They have the most yards. I don't really see any weakness though for the Eagles defense going up against the Chiefs offense aside from the Travis Kelce matchup. That's the big thing where I'm like, if the Eagles can somehow contain him, and I'm not talking like they're gonna shut him down because no one shuts down Travis Kelce. Let's
LOL.
keep it real.
Contain Travis Kelce. That's so
Exactly.
cute.
But they're gonna have to figure out a way with T.J. Edwards, Kaiser White, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to slow him down so that he's not wrecking the defense. This isn't the Eagles of past where last year or the year before that they were allowing tight ends to average to get 150 to 200 yards every game. They were game breaking because the linebackers are so.
To say,
poor.
yeah,
This
you
is
have
an
real
improved-
linebackers now.
I know this is an
Yeah.
improved team. That was probably their biggest weakness in defense last
For
year, and that's been
years.
shored up this year. Their secondary has been amazing, best in the league, like I said. James Bradbury, Darius Slay, amazing cornerback duo. I don't see a Kansas City receiver that's gonna get theirs. I mean, they'll get a few plays here and there, of course, because it's a football game. That's always gonna happen. But I don't see them winning the majority of matchups against someone like Darius Slay, James Bradbury. This defensive line, like we stated before, it's gonna get to the QB. I don't know if I trust the Chiefs O line to hold up against the Eagles' ferocious D line. So I just think it's gonna be very hard. Obviously, Mahomes is a wizard, best player in the league I'd say by far. I don't know how controversial that is,
Would
but
disagree, but it's okay. It's another topic for another day.
he's the one person who instills fear into anyone's eyes. And I'm not saying he can't win this game because he very well can. He's an amazing talent. If I had to bet on anyone carrying this game and carrying his team to a victory, it would be him. I just don't think I can put my money on the Chiefs. It's tough. I think the Eagles will still be able to score their points too. I don't see that. Obviously, that San Francisco defense last week was towards the best in the league. I expect them to be able to put up points against the Chiefs, especially Chiefs secondary. That's not bad, but it's probably the biggest weakness in their team. I still expect them to be able to run the ball like they do, especially against a Chiefs team that's not as great as the 49ers running the ball. They still have a decent run defense, but I think it's a good matchup for the Eagles. I lean towards the Eagles side when looking at all these things.
I'll throw my pick in now. So, as a Giants fan, it hurts me to say I'm going with the Eagles on this one. Like, seeing how good of a team they were this year, beat us 3 times, and seeing how Casey is struggling with pass rush or any type of rush at all, it's just you can't bet against the Eagles on this one. Like, I have full faith in that defensive line just destroying through the offensive line and giving Patrick Mahomes the pressure. And as we saw last week, when Osai was giving pressure to Patrick Mahomes, he would make horrible passes. Like he couldn't even reach Travis Kelce. That was like I think it was like 7 yards away when Osai was in his face. And you put an interior line like that against that Chiefs line, they're gonna have a lot of work cut out for them. And if they can't stop it, it will be another Bucks versus Chiefs Super Bowl.
Yeah, I see a lot of. I don't know why I see a lot of that in this matchup for some reason, but I definitely do. Um, it's weird. Like my gut says, oh, it's the Chiefs. Like, how can it not be the Chiefs who are going to win this game? Like, it's Patrick Mahomes. You don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. Um, but something about it, man. Like I said before, like this Eagles team has a weird swagger to them, and I don't know. Like at the end of the day, I think I like the matchups more from their standpoint. Um, I think Super Bowls are won and lost when it comes to the offensive line, and this is a Hall of Fame unit across the board. Um, from the offensive line standpoint for the Eagles, like Lane Johnson and Jason Peters are
Jason Kelsey.
Jason Kelsey. I'm sorry for disrespect, Mr. Peters. You're not very good at football anymore, though. Um, but Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson are for sure first ballot Hall of Famers. They're playing still some of their best football ever. They really haven't regressed this year, even though at least one of them's probably on the verge of retirement. And it's like I think that's where this battle is going to be won. If they can contain that defensive line and defensive unit up front for the Chiefs, I think all they have to do is run the ball and let the game play out. Run the ball down their throats. But they have to commit to it. We saw it in this past week. They kind of abandoned the pass. They pass too early. They don't really commit to the run. You have to commit to it. The only way you're going to beat this Chiefs team is by slowing the game down for you. If you can kind of run the ball 2 to 3 plays a game, you're going to see this defensive line of Chris Jones and Frank Clark and George Karlaftis get very tired out very quickly. That's where you're going to win this game, is by doing things like that. If not, I mean, I think they can still win this game. I just think that's probably the easiest path to victory, in my opinion. Use what your biggest strength is, your running backs, your versatility at back. Oh, Miles Sanders has been for a few plays and he's a little tired. All right, well, I mean, this Boston Scott guy's pretty darn good. I mean, he's been out there for a few plays and we want to give them both the rest. Oh, I mean, just throw Kenneth Gainwell out there. I mean, he's kind of good as well. It's like there's no shortage of talent from a running back standpoint. And listen, once they bite too much on the running back run, RPO it. Give it for Jalen Hurts and let him run with his feet. Or once they bite on that, play action it, throw it downfield. AJ Brown has been killing people all season.
Mm-hmm.
Just I think it's the Eagles to lose. I think that this should be their game, and I think it's their game to lose. It's gonna be tough. I think I would pick the Eagles, but I don't think by any means it's a lock.
And of course, it's Super Bowl. It's never a lock. And obviously these picks are no disrespect to Mahomes, Andy Reid, amazing coach. I wouldn't be surprised if they show up and win this game. It's just looking at the matchups. It's hard to think, man, Kansas City's gonna have a lot to overcome just from a talent standpoint and a matchup standpoint.
Mm-hmm. I'm concerned as well for the offensive line play for the Chiefs as well. how are they going to hold up against this just ferocious defensive line from the Eagles? Like they can just they can just sub out Fletcher Cox for Linval Joseph, and it's like nothing's really changed. Like that's illegal. That should be illegal.
Definitely have the most depth in the league for sure at that D line.
Yeah, and just there's no real weak point across the board on their defensive unit. Everyone on that team is playing some of their best football right now. It's going to be a good game. It really will be. It's not the matchup I would have preferred to see. I don't really find any of these, I personally, at least, I think there are other teams that were a little more fun, but hey, the best teams win, not the most fun teams.
Yes, sir. Did y'all have anything else you wanted to add, or did you want to jump over to Pro Bowl alternates?
I mean, there's nothing much to really else to talk about the Super Bowl. We're just gonna have to sit here and wait. But I guess we could just jump into the Pro Bowl alternates. Huntley!
Tyler Huntley is your fourth alternate for the Pro Bowl, ladies and gentlemen. Discuss.
Man,
Out of all the AFC QBs, you go with Huntley?
I'm just going to say this out loud right now. I could throw 2 touchdowns.
The fate of the world is on the line, and the meteor's coming down. Who do you want taking this shot?
Not Jacob.
I want a Huntley!
The Martians have the death beam on you. I'll take Huntley.
But for real, it just feels like this Pro Bowl year we've been getting the weirdest alternates, and it's just weird.
I mean, part of it's just there's been a lot of weird injuries. Like Tua was an alternate, and he's like in concussion protocol for the rest of his life. Josh Allen's gonna have some minor surgery. Justin Herbert's gonna have some minor surgery. I don't think Patrick Mahomes obviously won't be there. I don't know if Joe Burrow's gonna be there or not. I can't remember, but Derek Carr and Tyler Huntley are 2 of your Pro Bowl quarterbacks, and ew.
It just waters down. Like these are guys who are gonna have Pro Bowl appearances on their resume, and it just kind of waters that down because these are things people look at eventually when you're looking at a Hall of Fame and players' career in general. I know they look at like all pro team more, of course, and Pro Bowls aren't the buy all end all, but it's really hard to look at that and be like, yeah, it's like I said, it's watering it down.
It's just weird that we have to go we have to go 8 quarterbacks down or 9 quarterbacks down to find 3. Like really? That just
at the AFC quarterbacks are going to be Derek Carr, Tyler Huntley, and Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
That's just wrong.
Joe Burrow has an excused absence. Josh Allen injuries. Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl.
Yeah, and Tua's injury as well.
Yep.
So is Justin Herbert.
It's just tough, and this year feels like it's been the worst out of the last few years. Obviously, this has always been a problem, but man, when it comes down to like career accolades, it just sucks to see, this guy's gonna have a Pro Bowl, and it's gonna skew how because people are gonna look back at these years and be like, oh, Derek Carr, this many time Pro Bowl, and we're gonna be like, well, actually, and obviously this happens in other sports too, like the NBA, they have all-star replacements, but
they're never this bad, bro.
It's such a small amount of people, though, usually. And usually for the All-Stars, you're usually your top, 13 per conference. And NBA talent's so close together, there usually tends to be a lot of snubs. I'd argue in the NFL that's not really the case. And, even less so because alternates get picked every year because obviously the 2 Super Bowl teams are going to have a lot of Pro Bowlers. That's why they're in the Super Bowl.
I think this is only a problem with QBs. I think every other every other position has the talent. I think it's harder to find good QBs, so I think that's my problem. Like, I don't mind it with the other positions as much. Like, there were some excused absences, so Matt Judon got named as the 4th as an alternate for...
Ross St. Brown just got named as an alternate.
And I'm like, I'm fine with those. Like, okay, they had good seasons. But are we serious? Like, I understand the AFC quarterback is slim pickings right now. But, like, really? Really? Tyler Huntley threw 2 touchdowns this year, and we're rewarding that? They make more money based off of that. like players make more money based off of these kind of things. Like, what are we doing?
Our king Jared Goff has made it to the Pro Bowl.
Amen. He had a great year.
I won't disrespect Goff. He had a bounce back season.
You
The
know what
Lions
does
are.
piss me off? Andrew Thomas did not make it to the Pro Bowl.
There's still
I'm
time.
sorry. I mean,
He had a great season this year.
There's still
He
time.
didn't make it. I
It's
know there's
okay.
still time.
Michael Wenyu
But,
from
like-
the Patriots didn't make it either. I thought that was a crime against humanity. But I mean,
Like this
Potato,
was
potato.
one of his best seasons. Like he was talked around the fucking league as one of the best tackles, and he didn't get in. And then even as a replacement, he didn't get in.
mhm.
It feels weird to say, but like, there's still other quarterbacks who I think, like, Lamar should have made it over Tyler Huntley.
Wasn't
Yeah,
Lamar
but
hurt?
he's still nursing injuries too. I'm pretty sure. So
I don't care.
Yeah, Lamar's still hurt.
He still deserves it more than him. Russell Wilson deserves it more than him. Kenny Pickett deserves it more than him.
that is crazy to say, but all of those are actually true too. I know people are gonna hear Russell Wilson and be like, but let's be real. Russell Wilson played the majority of his games, didn't throw for only 2 touchdowns.
Deshaun Watson.
No, stop it.
No. Jacoby Brissett was genuinely snubbed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It genuinely upsets me that Jacoby Brissett is not making it because he has been disrespected all year, and he had a great year for what he was thrown into. I'm sorry.
Would have been a better selection than Huntley, but it just goes to show these alternates that something's got to be
It's a
done.
joke.
I know they've been trying to change Pro Bowl. They're doing the new thing this year, but it doesn't seem to be working. We thought the whole point was, okay, we're gonna change it up. Maybe more people show up. The exact opposite has happened. So
Who's gonna show up for Tyler Huntley, bro? No one freaking cares. I'm sorry, not to disrespect Tyler, but like,
disrespectful.
He's
Ouch.
gonna be one of the guys that just sit there on the side, and everybody's gonna be like, "Who are you?"
The
But
disrespect.
They did
but
release.
Give me
They
Trace
did release what they're
McSorley.
doing for the skills challenges. Oh, Trace McSorley! Don't get me started there.
Give
Trace
me Trace
McSorley.
McSorley.
Throw it on a dime.
I mean, the activities they're gonna do sound fun and all, but I'm like, I still don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna watch it. I'll watch the highlights on like YouTube or something. But like,
Yeah,
I don't.
watch the highlights.
I don't care. Like, come on. Like, it's a joke.
Like, let's see what they got. They got Epic Pro Bowl Dodgeball. They always do Dodgeball.
That's the one thing I'm
I
like,
don't know
okay, that's kind of fun.
I don't know what the lightning round is. Longest drive.
I think
See what
whoever
that
can throw
is.
the ball the farthest, maybe.
Precision passing.
They've done that
something.
before.
Best catch.
That just seems dumb to me. I'm sorry.
Well, there's two things for the best catch. They have best catch, and then on the following date they have the best catch finale.
Yeah, probably.
They
there's a
always do the
championship for it.
gridiron gauntlet. Gridiron gauntlet's always fun to watch. AFC versus NFC doing a bunch of challenges. Kick tic tac toe is back. Well, kick tac toe.
That's actually kind of fun.
Yeah, and then move the chains.
Tug of war,
I don't know
maybe.
what move the. It might be that.
I don't know why you just wouldn't call it tug of war if that's what it is, though. Feels kind of stupid not to just call it tug of war.
They're just trying to do it based off of football terms.
I guess.
Yeah, no, it'll be something to watch as highlights. I won't watch these challenges live. I don't even know if I'll watch the Pro Bowl because it's not even normal Pro Bowl.
Oh, I'm not.
Like, I don't want to watch flag football.
No.
No, I get it. They don't want anyone to get injured. But it's still, it's disappointing.
It's the Pro Bowl. The last time I seen someone actually hit in the Pro Bowl was Sean Taylor.
Sean Taylor. Oh my goodness.
Like, nobody hits in the Pro Bowl. Like, just let them play. They're gonna see this one year. The ratings are gonna go down, and most likely they're gonna have to be like, oh damn, we're gonna have to go back to the normal stuff again.
They'll have to figure something
That
out
or
because it's boring.
Continue it, but we'll see.
I don't think they should discontinue it.
They'll definitely have to work and find something because I don't know. Pro Bowl hasn't been it, and I don't think it's gonna change this year.
No,
but,
probably won't.
Let's move on to
Well, not with picks like this.
Let's move on to the next coach hirings though. We had two big hires yesterday. Sean Payton hired by the Broncos, and
Blah.
D'Amico Ryans hired to the Texans. What are
Woo!
your thoughts on that?
D'Amico
D'Amico Ryan's gonna
Ryan.
most definitely change the Texans.
Woo! Yes, he will.
It's gonna be a huge
I'm
culture guy.
all
Love
over
the
this, man.
hire.
All over this. We've all stated it before, though. Please don't ruin him, Texans.
For real, please don't. They're known for 1 year coaches and all this other stuff. Don't ruin D'Amico Ryan's. He has the potential to be a very great coach. Amazing for the 49ers defense.
Yeah,
Just he'll bring that defensive culture there. He's former player, so obviously that's gonna resonate great with the young guys. I just loved him. I'm biased, obviously. D'Amico Ryan's former Eagle, but like I said, great culture guy. Love the hire. Perfect, perfect hire for the Texans. I don't know if I love because this was his pick over the Broncos. I guess I get it in a sense because he's going to be building a culture there rather than being thrown into a wildfire that is Denver. But I don't know, man. Just him being on the Texans scares me for his sake. But I hope he's able to change the culture, kind of like certain coaches have been able to do for these teams in the past few years.
I think you need to look at what the Lions have done with Dan Campbell. It's like that first year of
Mhm.
Dan Campbell, not great as far as a record and performance, but you could still see it. Like you could see the change Dan Campbell brought to that team. They were playing like they were a competitive team that year. They didn't win very many games, but they were competitive. Like they were in games, they were close games, and like you could just see the culture change immediately when Dan Campbell got there, and they didn't overreact. They didn't fire him in year one, even though they had a bad year. That's what I really want the Texans to like learn from. It's like, listen, even if you go 3-13 this year or whatever, 3-14, I'm sorry, don't worry about it. It's like you're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. You're just not. The team you have right now is garbage. Like it last year that was one of the worst constructed teams of football I've ever seen as far as a talent basis. Sorry to disrespect, but there's a lot of building to happen here. But let D'Amico Ryan build this team out and let him like inject his culture here and see what happens. Now, if in 2 to 3, like I would say you really got to give this minimum of 2 years, but I really hope they give it 3. And if you still don't see anything progressing well, then you make the decision. But like this is his first head coaching job. It's a team that has no talent. You're giving him nothing to work with. You got to give the guy some time, man. Like, so I just hope that it doesn't go like the way of other things have in the past, where certain teams just aren't given a fair shot. I don't want to see that. I really do not want to see that because I think D'Amico Ryan deserves a lot more. Um, I don't think he's given enough credit for maybe some of the success the past 2 years of uh, that team defense on the Niners. Also, let's talk about Kyle Shanahan. Dude manages to find these coaches. Like, every year we're talking about a Niners coach being hired somewhere else. It feels like.
Yes, sir.
What the heck,
Uh,
bro?
yeah.
His coaching tree is insane. And every year, I think for like the past 2 or 3 years, the Niners have gotten minority assistant coach hired in a head coaching position or a defensive position or a coordinator position, and they get picks for it. It's ridiculous.
mhm.
I mean, good
The
on
gift
them.
that
It's
keeps
excellent.
giving.
Mike McDaniel last year. Who else got hired from that team last year? There was someone else recently. Um, I think Sala came from that team. Um, there was somebody else in recent years that came from that team as well. I'm trying to think, but I'm blanking on it pretty aggressively right now. But
We'll
Sala,
get to it if you remember.
yeah, but Sala and McDaniel both for sure came from that team, and those are both great hires in my opinion. I know Sala is kind of people are a little down on him because of the way that team ended, but I still love what Salah's done to that team. Um, I don't think it's necessarily his fault how everything has progressed as far as the season, but still, Kyle Shanahan, man, his coaching tree is ridiculous. Um, Sean Payton's a hire. I mean, I don't love that you have to give up more draft capital for him. You basically traded Bradley Chubb for Sean Payton, and I don't necessarily like that. It just feels that you gave up all those picks for Russ, and then you gave up more picks, a first and a second next year for Sean Payton. It's like you're really hedging your bets. Like it has to be this year. Like you have to win. I guess I don't know. I don't really know if there's any fixing Russell Wilson now. I mean, maybe there is, but that team is so poor offensively, and I don't know. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It just seems like a very mid. It seems that the Broncos got beat out by everybody else. There was all this reporting they wanted Jim Harbaugh really bad and they couldn't get Jim Harbaugh. Then there was all this talk of they couldn't get D'Amico Ryan. It seems like they got sloppy thirds when they got Sean Payton. Like that was their last resort. And I mean, it might be my last resort as well to trade for a coach because it doesn't happen very often. But I'm like, is that really what you wanted to go to? End of the day, trade a first and a second for a coach?
And that's the big thing. The Broncos are basically going all in and saying this has to work. Giving up this much draft capital, like you said, first round pick number 29, 2024 second round pick. And if this doesn't work, they're stuck in the hole for many years. Like Sean Payton has to find a way to revive Russell Wilson's career because
I don't know if they had to just cut ties.
I mean, yes, but you have to make it work now. They've pretty much gone all in a team that's not very talented offensively. I mean, we saw last year it wasn't even just the passing game. The running game could not get going. They had multiple, I'd say, above average backs. Yeah, they had injuries to Javonte Williams, but Melvin Gordon over there couldn't hold on to a football, got out of the lineup. They had multiple guys coming in and out of the lineup, and
not even that. The culture was so awful there. People hated each other.
You'd see them arguing with Russ on the sideline, which I don't care how corny Russ is or whatever you want to say about Russ. As a teammate, you shouldn't be sitting there arguing with your QB every week. You know, that's just, it's poor culture. And hopefully Peyton, fixes that. Obviously, it wasn't good under Hackett. Coaching change was obviously much needed. It seems like the wrong move to go all in on this team. And a team that's not, yes, they have a very talented defense. We saw that throughout the year. But a team that just offensively, I just don't know about. You're banking on a lot. Russell Wilson being able to revive his career, turn into at least partially what he was before. That O-line being fixed, which has not looked really great in run blocking, just hasn't been great in general, to be honest. Yes, they have Sutton and Judy as receivers, but once again, it comes back to, can they get the right schemes on offense to fix this passing game that obviously was not great last year. So there's just a lot to fix.
I've never seen a team with so many talented receivers just not know how to utilize them at all.
And I definitely do think under Sean Payton they will be utilized a lot better than under Hackett, but it's just, you're still going all in on a team that honestly it seems mid. I don't see
extremely
I don't see this team winning more than 10 games unless they make some drastic moves, which
10 games is very gracious as well, I would say.
And that's
their ceiling. I'm sorry, that's their ceiling.
Wins, yeah. So, I mean, we'd have to see what the rest of the offseason has for them, but it's just, I don't love the move. I like Sean Payton to the Broncos. I don't like them having to give up all of these picks and basically shoot themselves in the foot even further.
Hi, Tarique.
Yeah.
I didn't have much to really say about coaches.
How are you doing, bud?
I had nothing to really say about coaches. I talked about DeMarco Ryan, and that's all I really needed to talk about.
My man sitting on the sidelines like, yeah, I'm chilling. I'm living my best life.
I am chilling. You know what? I'm getting off the coach subject because I don't know much about coaches. I don't care much about coaches. Fucking Ben McAdoo.
So, Tarique, tell me about this Royal... No. Oh, I forgot. Hold on.
You can't skip that.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Tom Brady retired for the second time, and supposedly it's the last time.
This is definitely a late add to our segment, but yes, Tom Brady retiring. It's big news for the Bucks, obviously. I mean, they're gonna have to go
It's
and find a new
enormous
QB.
news for the
Yeah,
Bucks.
yeah.
Now
But
they gotta look
They
for a
should be in
QB.
They should be in rebuilding mode right now. Trade it all.
yes,
Blow it up.
sir. But
Trade it all. Get all the picks you
No,
can.
I'm serious.
This draft
Blow it
is
up.
yours.
Blow it up. You have a
but
ton of old players in that team. Blow it up.
I know a lot of people are joking, "Oh, Tom will be back" or whatever. I don't see it this time around. I think he's actually retiring.
I don't think any players retired twice and come back. Like I know Brett
Brett
Favre.
Favre.
He retired twice.
Brett Favre would go in and out basically. He wouldn't want to do training camp. He'd be retired. He wouldn't be retired. So it's just
I didn't think he retired twice. I know he retired the once, but Brett Favre was also weird. Also, screw that guy. You know why?
yeah, we do. I think we all do. But yeah, Tom Brady retired. Obviously, huge news. The GOAT, greatest of all time. I don't think it's debatable. But
If anyone
you know,
debates, I'll
it
fight
sucks.
them.
It sucks to see that he had to kind of leave on a low note, but that's how most players leave, you know. And
I wish he just. I wish he just left last year, man. I really wish he had just left last year.
last year, even though they didn't win, it would have been on a high note because that game was close, and that was one heck of a comeback.
And he
against
still
the
had like a
Rams.
great year last year.
Uh-huh.
Offensively.
This year,
He didn't have a bad
you
year
could
this year.
tell.
Let's not like get it twisted, but like you could see it. Like watching his film, it's like, yeah, he doesn't have it, man. That team didn't have it. He didn't have it. It just looked ugly from the start. It's sad.
Don't get me wrong. I'm sure if you put him on like a super talented team, he could still win, but those opportunities aren't really available right now. So I think he looked at that and decided it was time to call it a career.
I saw a tweet
Yeah.
today saying it's like once he was either going to go to whatever team Sean Payton went to or something else, and once Sean Payton went to the Broncos, it's like, oh well, I mean, there's no point going there now. I saw something like that, and I'm like, that makes sense.
He did have his amazing career, and it was time to retire. Like, let's be honest.
It's sad. It's really sad for me.
It's sad because, well, yes, for you as a Patriots fan, it's sad, but at the same time, for a lot of people that are NFL fans, it is kind of sad to watch Tom Brady go.
It's the end of an era. Like,
it's the end of a giant era. Tom Brady's been in the league
as long as I've been alive.
No, literally, as long as I've been alive.
I mean, it's the same for the same for LeBron, but like I don't have a connection with LeBron like that as I do with Brady. It's like,
well, Brady's been in the league longer than.
Oh no, I
LeBron's
know,
been in the
like
league.
for 2 years, I think.
Yeah, and watching Brady go, it's like, well, this is someone everyone who has watched NFL
Hated and loved altogether.
Has seen this man at least win one championship. If you're an NFL fan right now,
I'm happy he's not going to a third team. It felt very wrong for him to go to a third team, in all honesty. Like, I get the whole going to the Bucks thing. Like, the relationship with New England had soured by that point. But, like, to go to a third team would have just felt disrespectful and, like, it would have felt weird to me. I don't know. So I'm glad.
I do feel like Tom Brady should sign a one-day deal with the Patriots.
I mean, he's already retired. I don't think it matters now, does it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, players typically they sign the 1-year deals, they retire with a certain team. That's usually done.
But he's already retired. I don't know. Is it? Because he's already retired.
I don't exactly know how that fully works, but I mean,
I still feel like he should do at least
on his Instagram. He posted pictures of him and Belichick, so I have to assume their relationship is better now. I mean, there's no doubt, like, they have a good relationship. I'm sure it's just like, when it comes to competitive natures, like, at a certain point, egos get in the way, and Belichick doesn't kind of fuck around with egos. It's his way or the highway, and I think Brady had something to prove, and he proved it. In all fairness, like, he proved it. He's the greatest. Like, you can't win without the greatest. It's really sad though. Like, he's still my favorite Patriot ever. He will always be my favorite Patriot ever. It was really hard to see him play for the Bucks for 3 years. But I'm glad he's retiring. Like, I now there's all this talk of him going in. I know he signed that giant deal with Fox Sports to be one of their announcers, which also makes me sad because that probably means he's going to replace Greg Olsen, and Greg Olsen has been amazing this year on the broadcast. I don't know if you guys have watched him or heard him call games, but he's been amazing this year, and it's a shame that they're probably going to have to replace him with Brady.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have heard about that, and it is unfortunate. Hopefully, he finds his way back into some way. But
Someone will
he's
pick him
most
up, I'm
definitely going to
sure.
be at least an analyst.
Someone will pick him
mhm.
up. But yeah,
but
that's probably what we'll see. That's probably what we'll see him next. I mean, Fox is a Super Bowl next week, so
end of an era. I mean,
we'll see if he's on the
Yeah,
Super Bowl.
it's just crazy to think end of an era. Guy who's been playing as long as we've been alive, and you know,
yeah, and like I just clicked through all of Tom Brady's like story, and like this man has been here for everything we can really remember. Like he's posting pictures with him and Jimmy G, him and Eli, him and Ed Reed. Like this guy has played with everyone. Like you
mhm.
have to think that this
Aaron
guy has made
Hernandez.
every NFL. Okay,
I'm just saying that, like that. He's like that's. You're saying he's been through everything. Like yeah, like
that Ran-
that happened. Like he played with that guy,
Randy
Randy
Moss, Jason
Moss.
Pierre-Paul, Michael Strahan. He's played with a lot of people, and he's
Mhm.
met a lot of people. Like there's a picture of him and Snoop Dogg, him and Peyton Manning. Like this guy has done it all as an NFL player, and there's nothing more you could really have asked for him. Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers. There's nothing you could change from Tom Brady's NFL career that anybody would have wanted.
And of course, we're
Like
always gonna feel this way once like the greatest or one of the greatest players of all time retires. So sports losing
He's the second
when
greatest sports
sports.
player of all time, just flat out. Maybe
That's a
third,
debate for another day.
maybe
I'd have to
third
think,
because I mean
but
you have to consider Serena Williams, but Michael Jordan's probably number one.
Michael
Um,
Phelps.
yeah,
Michael
I
Phelps.
still think Brady's top three. In some order, it goes
I
Jordan.
give t-
In some order,
I
it goes Serena Williams, Michael Jordan, and Tom Brady. I think top three.
my top three has to be Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Michael Phelps. Serena Williams would be four, but I feel like Michael Phelps has done a lot more to make history.
I would have to disagree, but that's acceptable. The
I'm
internet
I'm
might not
Don't
not
like
don't
you
get me
though.
wrong.
I'm not even gonna
She's
try to make
she's
a
top
list right
five and
now.
she's not number five. But I do have to put Michael Phelps over that. But that's a topic we could talk about that next week.
But yeah, I feel like
It's a sad day.
the only thing that's gonna kind of match that is when LeBron eventually retires in the NBA. But like when you're losing the best ever for like the last 20 years, it's definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, I know everyone. There's plenty of people who hate her and glad to see him gone, but it's gonna hurt the sport, believe it or not. Whether you want to
It's
believe
gonna
it or
be
not.
culture changing.
Exactly.
I'm a petty
And
bitch and can't wait for
obviously,
LeBron to retire.
I know. But that's
we
that's the last guy to retire to really say like, damn, there goes
There's
our
the
sports
era.
childhood.
you say that now, Jacob, but once it happens, you're gonna be like, damn, kind of like Kobe.
No,
So,
I won't. I'll be very happy,
Well,
but it's
I think
okay.
that's it for football.
We can all be very petty.
all right, moving off the NFL stuff, let's get into some NBA talk. There was quite a week this week, quite a lot of interesting things happening this week. We had things ranging from the Jokic versus Embiid game, Luca 50 piece, Laker versus Celtics ref debacle. Do y'all have any preference on what you want to start with, or you want me just to kind
Well,
of name something and we'll
Le-
go?
to start off the week, we got LeBron getting 40 against every team.
It's a cool milestone. Cool milestone.
It's a
But yeah,
milestone that's never been completed by anyone.
I guess let's just start with Jokic versus Embiid. I think that's a cool one. I don't know, if you guys been keeping up with it, but Jokic, it was great to see because these are wildly considered the top two in MVP voting. I don't know who y'all have on the top of your MVP voting. I personally think Jokic and Embiid are number one and two, but in this game,
I got Luca.
uh, in this game, Joel Embiid got the best of Jokic, scoring 47, 18 and 5, and just overall, I think it helped his MVP case. I mean, obviously, you can never take one game and use it to propel someone up in the MVP ladder, but I don't know. It's always been close between them two the past couple years, and I think just yesterday, Jokic he put up a crazy stat line, and it finally got him to averaging 25, 10, and 10. So now he's averaging a 25-point triple double, which I think is very cool.
A 25 triple. Jesus.
Yeah.
He's averaging a triple double right now?
Yes. As of yesterday, I think. Hold on. I mean, I can fact check this
That's
real quick, but I definitely saw a post about it. So,
that's
which is why
wild.
a lot of people are saying, "Oh, we can't give him the MVP 3 years in a row." I don't know. It's tough this year not to at least have him in that conversation. Yep,
Yeah,
25,
averaging
11,
a
and
triple
10.
double is wild.
Mm-hmm. I
If he can
guess
hold it up, if he can hold the triple double average, he's gonna most definitely probably end up winning.
I know you mentioned Luca was your MVP as of right now. He had 53 the other night. Tariq,
Yeah,
I guess I'll let you kind
yeah,
of.
no.
How do you feel about Luca's season so far?
I feel so. As I said earlier in the podcast, I just started watching basketball, but Luca is the leader of that Mavericks team right now. He's the reason the Mavericks are relevant. It's basically Luca's playing a good game, the Mavs are having a good game. And I feel like Luca's just basically leading this team in the right direction that they want to be. They keep building around Luca. It's going to be a very tough team to watch in the future for a lot of fans. Like
I
it's going to
think
be a very tough team to vote against.
I think they need to get Luca some help, man. I know Jacob was very adamant with me on this earlier, but
No, don't get me wrong. They need to
Luca.
give Luca help. Like Luca needs help. It's just they're riding Luca way too much for him
Mhm.
not to have help. And that's probably another reason why I have him at the top of the my board for MVP running because the man's doing this by himself basically.
Mhm.
Like
Jacob, you have any? Oh, sorry, Tariq.
no, it's
No, I
fine.
was gonna say, Jacob, you have any strong opinion on the MVP race so far? Seems like there's so many people that could be in the discussion.
Yeah, I'm still gonna say what I've said from the beginning of the season. Tatum's my MVP, whether you want to call me biased or not. I just don't think you can give it to Jokic 3 years in a row. I just don't think as voters it's going to happen. Whether he is or isn't, it's not going
Mhm.
to happen. Um, I think the only other strong candidate for me is Embiid. I think he was robbed one of these two past years, to be honest with you. Um, I think injuries kind of hurt him in each of the years. Um, I don't really see Luca as the MVP this year. I just I understand where his team is at, and I think part of that is what hurts him is his team standing, and
Mhm.
I think the defensive part is kind of why I say he might not be the MVP. I'm not saying he's bad at defense. I just don't think it's particularly strong, and I think that hurts him as far as when you talk about the MVP. It's the most well-rounded player. But yeah, like I was saying, it's between Embiid and Tatum right now. I think Embiid's more than likely going to win it. I think Tatum should win it. Um, I, I just think what this team has done and kind of just taken over the league, especially the Eastern Conference, um, is quite ridiculous. Not to say what Embiid and the Sixers have done isn't great. Like they're kind of exceeding expectations this regular season, if you're being honest with me. But this is what I expect of Joel Embiid. I think he should have won each of these past 2 years. It's unfortunate that he hasn't.
But yeah, Tatum is definitely another great MVP candidate. This is a weird year for the NBA. I feel like there's like 5, 6 guys that realistically could win it, and you can't look at it and be like, yeah, he doesn't deserve it. It's definitely the closest it's been ever, honestly, and it feels the same way with the standings. I think there's 25 teams who still have a realistic shot at the playoffs, which is insane, and that's not even including like I didn't even include Orlando in that. That's only like 4 games back from the play-in. So, I mean, realistically, like I said, most teams are still in the hunt, which is crazy at this point of the year. So it's fun for competitiveness. I will give the play in that one thing. I didn't like it coming in. I know me and Jacob still have pretty strong feelings towards it, and it's at least keeping everyone competitive towards the end or the middle of the season, which is nice. Did y'all have anything else you wanted to bring up NBA wise? I know
What about LeBron about to make history though? That's a big topic.
he is about to hit that scoring threshold, which is just crazy. Gonna pass Kareem in the next probably the next 2 weeks. I think he's got it's around
Next
90.
2 games, probably no 3 games.
It's around
No,
90.
he had 117. 28 minus 100. He needs 89 more points, and a lot of people are saying he's gonna do it on February 7th against OKC.
February 7th.
Tickets for tickets for the OKC game is selling for, I think I saw it at 75,000 because of that.
That's insanity. Wow. That
That's
is.
like watching the finals right there.
I think I'd rather watch the finals. I mean, I love LeBron. It's cool. It's an amazing record, but 75,000. Good lord, that's not even Super Bowl prices. Come on.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's gonna be historic. It'll be cool. I guess that'll be something to bring up next week once if it does happen. But yeah, I mean, interesting,
Those-
interesting week in the NBA. Rivals week was entertaining. We had some cool matchups. MVP races heating up, and I can't wait for the trade deadline coming up. Should be some interesting moves in the next couple weeks. I want to give a shout out to Rui. He looked better the other day against the Knicks,
He did.
and
He really did.
I'm hoping the change of scenery is good for him because just Washington's not it. I could go on a rant forever about Washington and what they're doing and how they just seem like the most complacent franchise, but topic for another day. But yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that
Um.
was a smaller NBA segment. We'll tend to get more into NBA content during after the NFL season, especially when the playoffs start heating up. But I guess we could get into a couple other topics. I know Tarique had a big one he wanted to talk about.
What did I have? The Royal
Yes,
Rumble.
sir. Royal
That was a
Rumble.
big thing that just passed by recently. Like I know it's not our normal talk about wrestling, but the Royal Rumble that was actually I haven't watched it in a while, and I decided to watch it recently because I have Peacock for some reason, and just watching it, it like brought me back to my younger days. Damn, it's crazy to even say that. I'm only 22.
I feel you
Just
right there,
watching the
though.
Royal Rumble, watching these people, watching the new people, watching people that I watched before, watching Sheamus come out, The Miz, Kofi Kingston, people like that just coming out. And I'm like, wow, I've watched you guys growing up. Watching Edge run out, spear a few people. Uh, Booker T was a great one to watch. Just sitting there watching him do the spinner Rooney like old times. I mean, I know he didn't last long in the Rumble, but watching him do that. Kind of wish Rey Mysterio came out, but they have that whole storyline going on with him and his son or whatever. Who else did good in the Rumble? Brock Lesnar was in there for a little bit, threw out a few people, and then Bobby Lashley came in and just killed him. Who else had a good Rumble? Logan Paul and Ricochet. Now that watching
that
those,
spot was an interesting one.
yeah, watching those two just jump off the ropes and meet each other midway, like that is something that's never been done. And just to see Logan Paul of all people do that after coming off the injury he had, just that was just amazing to watch. And then what else happened in the Rumble? Greatest what's it called? Gunther was came in at number one and set the second longest time in Rumble history. Uh then Cody Rhodes winning it all, coming in at number 30, making number 30 the greatest odds for Rumble participants to win, with 5 people winning at number 30.
I
Like that
remember
was
back in the day when they used to preach number 27, man. That was like back
yeah,
in the
number
day.
27.
That's how
Number
you.
27
Oh
still
man,
second, and
that's how you know I'm from back in the day. Like I haven't kept up with wrestling in years, but watching it was just it was cool to relive part of the childhood. I mean, it's probably one of the only few times I watch wrestling, but hey, it's my favorite match
yeah,
type. So I think it's always fun to watch every year.
yep. And then watching what other matches they had. They had their pitch black match. It was a fast match, but it was kind of cool to see just everything just glow up because they were playing basically in neon lights. Raw Women's Championship, Bianca Belair won. That was a fast match. So was the Universal. No, the Universal Championship was actually a fun match to watch. Watching Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns go at it. Then Roman Reigns ultimately come up as the winner. But watching Sami Zayn just hit Roman Reigns with the chair behind the back just reminded me instantly of Roman getting cheated on by the Shield by Seth Rollins. I was like, just he had the same reaction and everything. But that was fun to watch. And then the women's Royal Rumble, nothing much really happened there. Asuka made a return. Nia Jax is finally back after a year out of commission. And it's just like basic names. But one of the people that did surprise a lot of people that came out was, well, actually there was two people. One was Natalia. She was out with her nose broken for a while, came out. And Michelle McCool made her come back after sitting in the stands with her children, just all of a sudden walking in the ring. But that's all I really got for the Royal Rumble. Nothing else really happened, but it was a fun thing to watch. And then watching Sheamus come in at number 2 and it being announced that it was his birthday and he lasted all the way until like I think he was like the 20th person eliminated, so he was in there for a while.
Very cool, very cool. One more topic I wanted to get into before we finish our first podcast though was MLB 23 the show, cover athlete
Yes,
Jazz just
sir.
quite a lot. It seemed like Twitter was very, I don't want to say upset, but they thought it was very peculiar pick. Jacob, I know you had
It
some
was a
opinions.
weird pick.
Jacob, I know you had some opinions on this too. Did you want to chime in on Jazz Chisholm, cover athlete?
It's very unexciting. I mean, it's cool that the kid got it. Great, young, talented kid. Um, it should have been Julio. Julio Rodriguez is your most marketable star right now. I don't know if there was some issue there, maybe, but I don't know.
Damn, what the
It's cool, I guess, but it should have been Julio.
I don't know, but like you saying, Julio is a more marketable person. Like going off of people like Shohei Ohtani and then going into him was a very questionable choice, but the show must go on and gotta just keep pushing out athletes as cover athletes.
Yeah,
And if
I
is
mean,
there anything coming up?
I haven't heard. What do you mean? Anything coming up in terms of what?
Sports wise, anything big coming up? Like I know we talked about the Pro Bowl, the Super Bowl. Actually, no, there's a few things coming up. Uh, XFL starts on the 18th. That's in 2 weeks. Uh,
Damn, 2 weeks.
what?
No. I'm just laughing at you.
What? Oh, you're laughing at my
Yeah.
burp? XFL starts in 2 weeks, February 18th. I feel like since they took out the one New York team, I'm gonna have to go with the Orlando Guardians.
Gotta root for the hometown team, I guess. I don't have any
Yeah,
stakes, but
I was gonna go for New York, but they took out that team, and I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to change it.
yeah.
UFC is being sponsored by Logan Paul and KSI's Drink Prime now, the official sponsor. Jake Paul is gonna be facing Tommy Fury. Do we want to talk about the games that we went to this week?
Yeah. I guess I can give a quick mention on that. I did go to the Magic Pacers game on Wednesday. It was fun to see him in person. It was a Christmas present for my brothers, so shout out to my brother for that one. The Magic won 126 to 120. It's a fun game. I feel like I've seen them face the Pacers multiple times. Even going back actually 4 years. I had like one of the front row seats to the side. It was so cool to see Bamba like in person, like because he's so huge. That was back when they still have Vucevic, DJ Augustine. But this time around, it was cool to see all the young guys: Paulo, Franz, Markel. Just new era. They've been winning lately, so obviously my bias self's gonna want to give a shout out to the Magic, even though they lost today. But you know, I think the young talent's there and their future's bright. But it was fun to be able to go to the game.
Uh, I'll talk about. My school, we went against Auburn this weekend for lacrosse. Played against Auburn. I mean, like to a lot of people, it's not a very big deal, but we're D3 students going against a D1 school was just like kind of a cool experience to witness. They came to us. We played 4 quarters, running quarters, so the clock didn't stop. But we did lose 14-7, but it was still a fun time just going against kids that were about our age and made it to D1 school and showing them that we could hold our heads high and go against them.
That's very cool, very cool. But yeah, now that we're closing towards the end of our podcast, we just want to thank you all for listening. We're gonna try to upload this to Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. Those are gonna be our main 3 platforms. We're gonna try to bring this to you guys weekly. Just depends on factors. We're all busy college students, of course. We work as well, so there's some variables in there, but we'll try our best to cover weekly news for sports. Because the sports world's always an interesting world, and we want to report on it. But yeah, anything else you guys wanted to end with before we sign off for tonight?
Logan Paul should have won the Royal Rumble.
No, not at all.
Anyways, no, thank you for everyone for listening, and if you're going to continue on this journey with us, we appreciate it.
Most certainly. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.